ladies and gentlemen, to the BFNL Footy Show, proudly brought to you by McDonald's Ballarat and Ballarat Toyota once again. Great to be with you here on the BFNL website on this Wednesday afternoon once again. Shaun Kelly's my name, joining me as he does every week, Liam Brady. Brades, welcome back, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Shaun. Good to be here for another show, mate. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, we are indeed going to be a big show as well. Plenty to talk about and some very interesting games this week to cover off on as well. So we'll jump straight into it. Our talking points for this week. Talking point number one, the announcement of the Senior Interleague team to contest the WorkSafe Community Championships against the Western Region Footy League at the Whitten Oval in a couple of weeks' time. A 38-man squad, Liam, and some pretty good names amongst that squad.
Yeah, no doubt, Shaun. Having a look at the squad today, the likes of Mitch Banner, Brett Goods, some really good inclusions into the squad. I think there's some guys in the squad who have been in and around the group for a couple of years now, so obviously playing the Western Region Football League. I suppose their sort of side, their side that they'll come up with is a little bit unknown at this stage. They've obviously got some ex-AFL players playing in their league.
They've gone pretty wide with their squad as well, I think.
So in terms of if those guys will play, we're not too sure, but I think the Ballarat squad is really good. It's good to see most clubs represented in terms of players in the squad. As you said, 38 players in the squad, so they've got 4 training sessions before the game. The first session obviously tonight at Darley Park. So Shaun O'Loughlin is very thorough about the way he's gone about the process of picking the squad, and I know that he's got a really good group of assistant coaches in and around him. So I think it's exciting times over the next few weeks for the Interleague team.
Really good to see some young players in particular that have performed well at the start of the season get rewarded. I talk of blokes like Hamish Coulton at Bacchus Marsh, blokes like Lane Buckwell at Lake Wendouree as well, some young players, Lise Patiri at Darley, that have had a really good start to the season and have been rewarded for it.
I think it's really crucial that in Interleague teams there's a few younger players in the group. It's just they're really enthusiastic and they actually bring a fair bit to the table. Obviously during the training sessions and I suppose leading up to the game as well. So you mentioned Hamish Coulton. He's a young Bacchus Marsh boy who's come through the ranks and played some really good junior football over the last couple of years. So to see him play some good senior footy at the start of the season, he obviously gets his opportunity to be in and around the group, and who knows, he could still play. So good to see.
Yeah, fantastic to see. And of course, that side is on the website, and we saw it on the screen before as well, the Interleague squad. So 38 to choose from. That'll get trimmed down to 23 by match day, I believe, Liam. You've been involved in this over the last couple of years, not this year, of course, but you know a fair bit about what goes on in the machinations of this. So some pretty interesting training sessions coming up.
Yeah, that's right. I think, as I said before, there's 4 sessions. The guys train a couple of times down the road at Darley Park and obviously a couple of times up here, and there's a jumping presentation on the Thursday before the game. So as we know, that the game's going to be held at the Whitten Oval against the Western Region Footy League. So look, it's a great opportunity, a bit of a change to the structure this year of the way the championships are actually set up. Obviously, new teams have been introduced into the
Metro and Country joining
that's
together.
Right. So the Western Region is the first time the BFL will play the Western Region. So it'll be interesting to see how we stack up against a really competitive league in the Western Region Footy League. And I think the most important thing is that the players that represent the league are really enthusiastic and actually want to be there. They want to pull on the jumper. It's it's an honour to be able to represent your league. And I think over the last couple of years, the coaches who have been involved, Shane Scontra, Kevin Murray, these sort of guys, Ben Jordan, have really got guys who actually want to be involved to play, and the vibe around the team leading up to the game and obviously on game day has been really good, and you've got that camaraderie from there on in after the game. You make friendships forever, so
correct.
Hopefully all players that have been selected in the squad can fully commit to being involved in the program, and I'm sure they will I suppose benefit greatly out of being involved.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see over the next couple of weeks how that squad takes shape, and then the final 23 that'll take on the Western Region Footy League. Talking point number 2, a fairly special round in the Ballarat Football Netball League this weekend, Liam. It's the Buxton Women in Football round, supported, of course, by commercial partners Buxton Real Estate, who are a first-year partner with the BFL and really do some good work themselves. The principals at Buxton, Mark Nunn and Ben Halsall, are also Pink Ribbon ambassadors with the National Breast Cancer Foundation. But I suppose more importantly as well, supporting a fantastic charity this weekend as well in the BFL, the Support for Cancer Network. Colleen Thompson, a lot of people within the Ballarat Footy League circles, especially in the netball and the junior netball scene, will know Colleen, breast cancer survivor herself. She's founded this network to help out families with all cancers, not just breast cancer, but especially local families here in Ballarat. They do a lot of great work, and really good to see the BFL get behind this cause this week.
Couldn't agree more, Shaun. Well said. I think it's a great initiative that the league has got right behind, and as we've seen, especially I've noticed anyway over the last few years, there's more and more females involved in football. We just don't see females involved in just the canteen anymore. Maybe that was the case many years ago, but there's so many females that have got active roles within clubs, whether it's presidents' roles or junior coordinators, and we obviously know that the netball is such a big part of this league now as well. Yeah. So the female involvement across the league is huge, which is fantastic, and it's even getting bigger, which is great to see. So this round, obviously, as you said before, it's a good way to I suppose. Put some awareness behind some of those, the cancers. And Colleen Thompson, who you mentioned before, is a breast cancer survivor. She's a great advocate, done a really good job over the last couple of years involved in that. So, as you said, Buxton Real Estate are right behind the whole initiative. Mark Nunn and Ben Hassel. So, thanks to those two guys for backing, I suppose, the round.
And we also, I should say, while we're at it, Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers within the BFL. Thank you so much for everything you do, getting sons and daughters to the game, being there to support, and as Liam mentioned before, helping out in various different roles around the footy club. Happy Mother's Day to my mum. We're heading down to Portland to have Mother's Day lunch with mum, also my mother-in-law over the other end of the state in Orbost as well. Yep. So a little bit of distance between there, so I won't quite get to both of them, but you should be able to get to your mother and your mother-in-law on the same day. Obviously, Sebastopol, the family club, playing on the Sunday, so good chance for you to get around your mum and your mother-in-law on the same day, mate.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll catch up with both of them, Shaun, and as you said, it's a really important day to make sure that we recognise the contribution that they make, and I think that we should all say thank you to our mothers, and as you said, definitely. Whether it's driving to the football or the netball each week, they certainly do play a really important part in our lives growing up. So Sunday's a day we honour them. We should honour them most days.
We should honour them every day, but obviously they get that special day on Sunday where they receive our thanks. Talking point number 3 this week, Braids, as we swing back into a footy scene, is the Darley Footy Club. They had the season launch game. They looked very, very good that day, but they have not fired a shot since. Obviously, the fortnight ago against Bacchus Marsh on Anzac Day, and then last week Sunbury overrunning them in the last quarter. They now sit 1-2. They could really be in trouble if they don't right the ship in the next couple of weeks, because they've got, in the next 3 weeks, they've got Lake Wendouree, they've got Redan, and then they've got North Ballarat City. They could go into June being 1-5.
Yeah, no, it's a crucial 3 weeks. I think we're really surprised with the result last week against Bacchus Marsh. Taking nothing away from the way Bacchus Marsh played, but then I think everyone thought they would bounce back this week and beat Sunbury. Maybe we're actually underestimating some of those other sides rather than. I think we actually probably need to give more credit to the way Bacchus Marsh played, and also obviously Sunbury on the weekend. It's a very even competition, similar to the AFL. It's anyone's flag this year, and I think Darley, if they can just get some confidence back into their players, their core group's still there. Obviously, we know there's a couple of players missing that they may get back as the season goes on, but I think if they can win 2 of the next 3, they're still thereabouts, and as we know, it's very important to finish top 3. I think they can still finish top 3 and be a contender come finals time.
The next few weeks, as we said, they're going to be very interesting, so we'll keep you abreast with everything happening with the Devils over the next 3 weeks. As we take a look at round 4 with the first game for the week, and we'll start with the Devils taking on Lake Wendouree up at Wendouree Reserve. No matter where these two teams have been on the ladder and how their form lines are, Lake Wendouree, this is not a happy hunting ground for them at all, Darley Park. They have been wiped off the floor in the home and away season the last couple of times they've been out to the Devils, and Devils fans will be hoping they can do the same this year, but Lake Wendouree looking very strong at the moment, did a number on Ballarat on the weekend and are looking pretty good. Yeah,
look, you mentioned their record at Darley Park in previous years, and I think that's irrelevant right now because the landscape has changed. The sides are a lot different. The Lake Wendouree midfield is phenomenal. We talk about the likes of Steve Clifton, Ben Taylor, Nick Peters, but then we talk about a player like Angus Kirby, who was absolutely sensational on the weekend. I thought he was best on ground. The opposition midfields may be able to get on top of some of their better players, but you've got guys who are now slipping under the radar. They're now getting the 4th or 5th best midfielder, and they can sort of play in a different position. Andrew Pitson is another one.
That's what I was going to say. It's also created other things. Pitto's now playing more as a permanent forward.
He's sitting in a forward pocket. He's such a hard matchup because he's a big body player, but he's really good at ground level too, and they can use his body really well. I think
7 on the weekend as well, and probably sent a Snapchat for each one of those.
He did. Yeah, he's pretty happy with himself at the moment. There's no doubt about that. But look, they're going really well. They got winners all over the ground. I think we saw the way they finished the game against Redan in round 1. They had the bye the week after, and they put a a real clean four-quarter performance in on the weekend. So I think they'll travel down the highway and be too good for Darley, just based on the way the two teams are playing at the moment.
Very good for you, Liam. Ballarat taking on Sunbury at the Alfred Oval. The bubble burst a little bit for Ballarat last weekend after a great start to the season, and Sunbury really good come from behind win against Darley. They've done that the last couple of weeks now, where they've really come over the top of teams Melton and then Darley. So things going pretty well for the Lions at the moment. Rick Hall and his coaching staff have got things going quite nicely.
Yeah, look, they're going well, and look, Ballarat, I think they played really well the first couple of weeks. To get over the line against Sebastian was a good effort, and then their win against East Point was great. I think on the weekend, look, they've got a really young side. They're going to have ups and downs throughout the season, like any young group does have. They played a really good side in Lake Wendouree, so I think they can bounce back this week and be really competitive. But just the way Sunbury played last week and the way they beat Darley, you just can't tip against them this week.
You can't indeed. Sunbury, again, another club that doesn't have the best record at Alfred and Oval, but having said that, this time it definitely is irrelevant because the surface at Alfred and Oval is absolutely pristine now, and it's like clubs going out to Lake Wendouree last year. They just running on top of the surface, and you can almost take out any past records on that ground.
Yep, no, for sure. And it's it's going to be an interesting game, and I'm looking forward to. Might even get up there for a little bit on Saturday, so looking forward to it.
Redan taking on East Point here at the City Oval. Both clubs saluting the judges for the first time last weekend. Redan here against Melton South, really putting them to the sword after three-quarter time. Melton South went with them for the first part of the game, but Redan really running away with it. And then East Point, fantastic against Bacchus Marsh on the weekend in a game where they didn't have too many friends, given the way that Bacchus Marsh had started the season. Few injuries. They made 7 changes to the side. There's 2 injuries and then 5 unforced changes. The East Point boys responded really, really well. And do they come into this game as favourites against a Redan team that got their mojo back a little bit on the weekend?
Yeah, look, I'm going to tip East Point here, Shaun, but just based on last weekend's performance, I thought East Point were really good against Bacchus Marsh. Bacchus Marsh obviously came off a really good win the week before, and East Point had to win the game. They won it well. Redan weren't that convincing, I didn't think. Like they played a team that I suppose a lot of people would have thought they would have won quite easily. Full credit to Melton South, I thought they stuck with them for a long period. I think Redan will get better as the season goes on. There's no doubt about it. They'll be there at the end of the season when the whips are cracking. But I think East Point can get them on the weekend. You don't see many Redan teams lose at the City Oval, but I reckon East Point are a big chance.
I watched that last quarter of Redan and Melton South on the weekend, and you could see the old Redan starting to come back. The wheels were turning. They getting really good stuff out of Brenton Redden up forward. Little Chris Giampolo in his helmet looking like Caleb Daniel snuck forward and kicked 5, I think, on the weekend. Cal Curry was impressive. Ryan Waite was sweeping across half-back. It looked like that old Redan was starting to come back. If they can do that across 4 quarters, they'll beat East Point this week.
And to get Dean Chester back this week, I would have thought so.
That
He's a really important player to get back into the side. So, I'm going to tip East Point, though.
Redan, for me, will go against each other in this one. Melton South take on Bacchus Marsh at the Melton Rec Reserve this weekend. Melton South, pretty competitive for 3 quarters last weekend. Fell off a bit in the last quarter, which sometimes young sides do, as we know. Bacchus Marsh will be steaming after coming up here with a bit of hype during the week and not getting the job done against East Point. So I reckon Bacchus Marsh will come out with a point to prove this week and get the job done pretty easily.
Yeah, you'd think Bacchus Marsh should be too strong. Look, Melton South, I think they were reasonably competitive last week, which was really good to see. Some of the younger players stood up, so I think they're certainly in with a chance at home, but I think Bacchus Marsh, based on the way they've been playing, you just can't tip against them.
And then Sunday at Eureka Stadium, North City taking on Sebastopol. The bubble also burst a little bit for Sebast last week. Melton giving them the rounds of the kitchen after quarter time. I think it was a 9-0-0 second quarter by the Bloods. Really putting Sebastopol to the sword last week. North City going very nicely at the moment, if you don't mind umpire. They'll start as favourites this week out on the Eureka Stadium deck, which is as good as any deck I've seen. Had a good look at it last weekend, and it is absolutely beautiful at the moment. But you'd think on Mother's Day, North City will start favourites.
Yeah, definitely. Certainly the game's at home, and look, North City have been really impressive so far this season. We know they had the bye on the weekend, and I'm sure they'll come out fairly fresh and ready to go. So, look, Sebastopol have been good so far. They've been competitive, and they obviously had a win a couple of weeks ago. But I just think, too much class and experience, and North City should be too good. Yeah,
agree with that one. That's all the time we've got on the BFNL Footy Show this week. Thanks for joining us. Pretty big show this week. Pretty lot of content to get through, so hopefully it's been entertaining for you over the last 15 minutes or so. Brades, thanks for joining us once again, mate.
No worries, Shaun. Good to be here.
We'll see you again next week on the BFNL Footy Show. Thanks to McDonald's Ballarat and Ballarat Toyota. We'll see you soon.
Goodbye.